So now you decide to go up to TriStar, train with Firas Zahabi. But what good and other new stuff did Firas do for you?
You know, with Firas, I remember him calling me after the BJ Penn fight when I lost the title. And he told me, you know, that was a winnable fight for you, but here are some things that I feel that you can improve. He talked about how I really needed a very competent jab to set everything up. He said, you know, I was off balance on a lot of my strikes, and I needed to be better with my feints and how I did things. So I loved his perspective. It was more of a scientific approach than here are a bunch of techniques. I mesh very well with conceptual understanding and principle-based stuff. That's the way I try to teach as well. So for me, it was an interesting way of looking at the sport, which I really enjoyed, and Firas really helped me with that. And he also had just a ton of experience. I mean, here was a guy who had brought many championships to his gym. And of course, you know, George St. Pierre being one of the more intelligent and successful fighters in the world, how could he not help me with what kind of information he could give me? And I was certainly going to listen to him and hear him out for at least a week there. I went there for a week. There were so many training partners there. Previously, I was preparing for world championship fights like the one against BJ Penn by training with my brother and Mark Delagrati and a couple other guys here and there. But none of them were real professional mixed martial artists that were in and around my height and weight. I didn't have a lot of them anyway. I had some of them. I needed more because you get to train with a certain person, they get to know your game, I get to know their game. It becomes this thing of how do I avoid certain strengths and weaknesses, and it's just not a good thing. I need to be pushed, I need to be challenged, I need to be surprised. That's how a fight is. I don't know everything that my opponent is gonna bring all the time. And I think that bringing that element of surprise and training with someone that you've never trained with before, and especially, you know, I had a certain name in the UFC, and I'm training with all these guys that are trying to come up and make it to that level. Guess what they want to do? They want to beat the shit out of me. They want to embarrass me in training. They also want to prove to themselves that they can fight in the UFC.
You're in the league now, boy.
Exactly. So it pushed me. I had to be on my game all the time as opposed to training with a buddy or training with a professional fighter that I've trained with hundreds of times. It's a completely different type of energy. So I liked that when I was over at TriStar. Again, for me, it was about being the best that I could be. You know, I like challenge. I like being pushed.
So what were your thoughts about Kenny before you guys even linked up?
I always thought he was a great fighter. You know, he was such a poised, technical, and intelligent fighter. You know, he had such a good offense. He was so aggressive. You know, he was a really exciting fighter, and I was always impressed with him from the get-go. I was part of his newsletter even before I ever met him. You know, he had a newsletter to his fans, and I was on it, and he used to sign it, "Stay with the flow," Ken Flo. You know, I was a big fan of Ken Flo before I met him.
When you decided to pick him up, what were the deciding factors to say, you know what, I'm gonna help this dude out?
You know, since the first day I met him, I just love the guy. He was such a great person, friendly, humble, kind, hardworking. He reminds me a lot of, George St. Pierre, and that goes really well with TriStar. Guys who just want to come in and get ready for their fights. We are very low drama. Plus, also, he's a very intelligent guy, so he's fun to talk to. He's very cerebral, how to break down fights, not just fighting, life in general and all that. He's just honestly an incredible human being. So he's the type of guy. Listen, I used to let him live in my house. That's how much I love the guy.
Right. And what were things that you worked on right away?
Everything. We trained striking, grappling, wrestling, but mostly I was trying to help him with his stand-up. He had his brother Keith, who's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner and excellent in MMA, jiu-jitsu, ground game, wrestling. It's just all around. I like to work all around with the guys and, of course, organize his camps as well.
And what were the changes that you saw? What was it like? Oh my God, his clinch range is a lot better, or his jabs got a lot better?
Oh, well, definitely. You know,
training.
I did a lot of work with his jab. I don't know if you remember the Gomi fight. In the Gomi
Sure.
fight, he put a jab clinic on him. And I definitely felt I needed to help him with his jab to set up that Muay Thai. You know, he did such great work with so many other trainers, and Peter Welsh, of course, his boxing gym. They're such great punchers. But I like to bring in a little dynamics, little things that make a difference because the gloves are smaller. It's MMA. It's not Muay Thai. It's not boxing. The in-betweens, because they have so many great coaches already in Boston. And I was just trying to complement it.